What's up, everyone? Well, I read the Ghost of Slappy, and it's leaving me with some mixed vibes, guys. For one thing, I really got some beef with the characters. That's where my complaints come from, pretty much. But what I will say about the story is, it gets the story wrong with the dummy array being alive and Slappy causing trouble on the bus when they're going for the overnight trip in the woods. And when it comes to the atmosphere, about being overnight in the woods and having pretty much no way to contact anyone if you were in trouble, even though the dummies were being put back to sleep by Hanson. And then when it comes to Shep confronting Slappy in the cemetery a few chapters down in the book, it gives you like that feel about, everything is, so dark, so dreary. You are trying to confront this wooden doll from carrying out the evil plans. And it feels really right when it comes to that kind of texture and story. Also, one thing I gotta mention too about the book and the audiobook actually is that in the audiobook, Shep is the one that's narrating the story, but the way that's being told is kind of funny, because you ever watched the Wonder Years with Arnold, where you hear like a old version of himself speaking for him back when he was younger, and we see his younger version going through things back in that time? Well, it's like the same thing with this one here, where we hear an older version of Shep speaking for everything that he's going through, even though we hear his younger version speaking the story too. It's kind of weird. Check it when you get a chance. It's very interesting. But when it comes to the characters now, the parents I'm not going to say anything about, because they're your usual fare when it comes to not believing their child when they say the dummies come into life and they're doing things on their own, because it's kind of already something we're used to by this point. I will say, however, that his parents work from home, and I would say most kids wouldn't mind that, but I definitely would mind that, because I have no free time to yourself, basically, and you have to always worry about them being home and stuff. It's like, oh god, you kind of move on your own when it comes to that. But anyway, when it comes to Carlos, which is Shep's best friend, yeah, I kind of think nothing for him, actually. It's kind of bullshit in my opinion, because when it comes to his birthday party, in the end, he gets upset with Shep because he ruins his party with the horse he was riding on. But never mind the fact that he could have actually been killed by being flung off a horse and nearly breaking his neck in the fall too. But he cares more about his party being destroyed. What a great friend of his. Another thing too about Carlos is, if you notice back in chapter 26 of my book Read Up the Story, where I said, "What an asshole." By the way, about that phrase, what movie was that from Adam Sandler when he said that phrase? If you know about it, in the comments down below about that particular thing. It's because it's not because he says to Shep, "I can hang out right now." That's fine. It's not the thing that bothers me. It's the next thing he says that bothers me. He says, "My mom says I have to be polite and greet people." Yeah, my mom says I have to be polite and greet people. The reason why I'm so miffed about that is because these are people coming out of the way for your birthday party, for your day of birth. So the least you can do is appreciate the fact that people care enough to come to you and respect you in order to show that they do care about you being born on that day that you're born on. Now, either that's something that he has a thing against doing and just kind of made to do it, or his parents are telling him basically that, well, even though you really shouldn't do it anyway still, because that's just the way it be. Either way it goes, that's fucked up. I just can't make that up, actually. Now, when it comes to Trevor, that at one point was Shep's friend, the reason why he's a bully to him doesn't make any sense over an accident that was really an accident. And even though Shep goes out of his way to, apologize, and even have his parents at some point bring Trevor presents to show that he's sorry for what happened, he kind of just doesn't care still. I wouldn't care at that point. If you don't be a friend anymore because of an accident that was really an accident, fuck off, basically. You're worth it that much anyway. I just want to have my parents go out the way to just get him presents and stuff just because, to show I'm sorry, and you still want to be an ass to me. Go away, whatever. Now, when it comes to Mary Jane, I really don't want to hate Mary Jane because she seems like a sweetheart at first, but I'll get to her more when I keep on talking about her. Now, she's supposed to be Shep's love interest, and For the time, she seemed very legit when she wanted to have a lunch date with him in school, trade lunches and stuff like that. And then when the Ghost of Slappy appears in the window, Shep tries to tell him to go away, but unfortunately, because no one could see the ghost but except Shep, Mary Jane thought that he meant that for her, and then got upset by that and decided to just go away like he presumably told her, And I was like, Shep, you fool. Man, I really feel bad for you now because you had a chance to get a girlfriend, and because of your fear of the dummy ghost, you just kind of just let that overtake you, and now you kind of lost a chance to be her friend. It sucks. But then comes the part when we go to Carl's birthday party later on in the book, when she buys him a video game, and coincidentally, Shep buys the same game as she did, and calls him a creep for it. First off, he had no idea what she was going to do. How is he supposed to know you're going to buy the same game as her? The hell? So, buying him the same game didn't make any sense. And not only that, if he did the same game as what she got for him, when the game one day goes to be very rare, 2 copies of the same game, I won't complain about it. This guy 2 the same games in. If you have emulation of that game too, then you don't have to worry about breaking into your other games to play it. Just got yourself a little bit of a gold mine there. But anyway, he loses a chance to be her friend or her boyfriend, so that's pretty much it. So whatever. And when it comes to the ghost Anna Lee that Shep sees in the house, ever since they moved in there, and the parents won't believe him that she's even in the house. The ending of the book is kind of fucked up, because when Shep pretty much loses all of his friends, pretty much because of what the dummy ghost did to him, and even the father is an asshole when he says they're probably to pay back the Jacksons, which is Carlos's last name's family, for the damage that Shep did, even though he was on a horse and the horse was out of control because it was so spooked by Slappy. And he's not even really caring about the fact that he could have been killed. You just care about the damage that was done, which is nothing compared to a human life being lost. These people in this book suck. Jesus. But anyway, when it comes back to Anna Lee, she's a ghost figure that appears every now and again to, I guess, supposedly haunt Shep. And he's afraid of her, as you normally would be, because it's something he doesn't understand, know something about her. And she, in the end, when Shep goes out to put something back together again, when he gets out of the graveyard to get rid of the Ghost of Slappy, the words that actually were used to bring him to life suddenly disappear earlier in the book that his sister reads, Patty. And it makes me think that where the words disappear to. And we don't know anything about that. We never see him ever again until near the next to last chapter of the story. And Anna Lee has the words, and the good deed that she chooses to make, I say good because it's not really good. She chooses to take the words that Shep was trying to find earlier and just rips it into tiny pieces, and that makes it where he can't recite the spell to put him back to sleep. And then the reason why she says that for is because Slappy never told her to go away or never turned her away and stuff. I think the reason why that was because at one point when Slappy was in the house, thanks to Trevor putting him into Shep's duffel bag, unbeknownst to Shep, she was talking to a dummy that couldn't say anything. So therefore, there's no way for her to get any kind of reply because he's not fucking awake yet. But the thing about that is that Shep was being punished for just simply being afraid. Okay, you can't tell a person to just get over their fear just because to get over their fear because they just say so. Okay, that takes time to do, and to get upset because he was afraid of her. First of all, she's a ghost, If you saw like a floating ghost appear out of nowhere, yeah, you would freaking shit your pants too, basically. So he's being punished for just having a fear of ghosts and stuff. That's why he's told, you can't be afraid of snakes, you can't be afraid of dogs, you can't be afraid of spiders, you can't be afraid of heights, you can't be afraid of the dark because we say so. And I'm going to say, fuck you. You don't do that. That takes time to get over something if you ever do. And you need to have someone comfort you to understand, that sometimes it's not always good to be afraid. But if you just say, well, I tell you not to be afraid, it ain't gonna work. You can't force shit like that. But anyway, he was punished in the end by just having her whip at the words. And she just says, I've done my good deed. Goodbye to you. And we have to assume that Slappy has what he wants, and that's a slave to do his bidding. And I never understood, what does he want slaves for in the first place? You know? And I don't think it lasts so long anyway, because in 4 books down the road in Diary of a Dummy, he comes back as, you know, new and improved, asleep, and like nothing ever happened. So I assume probably Shep escaped his fate, or I don't know, or there's multiple Slappys going out there in the world too. I have no idea. It's freaking weird. But overall, I did like the book for what it did before we got those, you know, awful characters and stuff too, and the reason why they do shit too. But I did enjoy the book. I enjoyed reading it for you guys, and I give the book a solid B. I kind of wish that there was a little bit more to Shep, because Shep wasn't really a bad character. He was actually a very, you know, ordinary kid that had, you know, different quirks that we have sometimes too when it comes to fears about being in the dark, or being, you know, in the, you know, evil creatures that try to take over, you know, the world supposedly, I guess. You know, but it's stuff that's, you know, that's not very, you know, uncommon to everyone else, you know. But I just don't like the fact that he was being punished because of his fear of Annalie. You know, that's just something you just have no right doing. And I wish there was a little more backstory about her too, because all we know about is she led a very selfish life. What does that mean? What did you actually do that was selfish? You know, this doesn't really show selfishness on her part, because she does it for Slappy, but I think it's because when he wasn't awake yet. So it was kind of sad, and it's kind of stupid at the same time to just kind of spend time talking to a dummy that can't speak back to you. You know, whatever. So overall, guys, yeah, I give the book a B, a solid B grade. Hope that you enjoyed the read of mine too. And the next time I do another Goosebump read, that would be The Ghost in the Mirror. All right, everyone, take care and have a good rest of the day, guys. Peace out.